Hi, I'm Rabbi Lisa Grushcow. This week's Parsha is Korach. Korach is the name of the man who wanted to be the leader instead of Moses and Aaron. This story will help us learn about what kind of arguments are good and what kind of arguments are not so good. When we first find out about Korach in the Torah, he doesn't seem all that bad. He asks Moses and Aaron what makes them so special and why God chose them to be leaders, because after all, God wants everyone to be holy. It's actually a pretty good point. Moses tells Korach that God will decide who is holy, and the next day they have a standoff. Moses and Aaron on one side, Korach and all his followers on the other. It ends very dramatically. God opens up the earth, and the earth swallows up Korach and all of his followers. Then, God tells Moses to take staffs from each of the heads of the different tribes and to see which one will flower. Aaron's staff is the only one that flowers. This is seen as a clear sign that God wants Aaron to be the high priest. So, what did Korach do that was so bad? If you look closely at the story, you discover that Korach actually didn't want everyone to be holy and everyone to be in charge. He wanted to be the one who was in charge, and he saw no good reason why Moses or Aaron should be in charge and not him. And so in fact, no matter what he told his followers and no matter what he said, he really was in it for himself. Aaron was a very different kind of person. Whenever he saw people fighting, he tried to help them make up. Above all, he was interested in peace. And that's why I think his staff was the one that flowered. He wanted the community to be together, growing and alive. The ancient rabbis taught that there are two kinds of arguments, those that are for the sake of heaven and those that are not. Clearly, Korach's argument was not for the sake of heaven. But all of us have things that we argue about that we really do think are important. How can we tell what kind of argument is for the sake of heaven, a good argument, and what kind of argument is not? The rabbis teach us that one of the ways that you can tell if an argument is for the sake of heaven is by how the people who are arguing treat each other. 2,000 years ago, the Rabbi Hillel was a great model of how to argue in a good way. He always listened to the other person first, and he was always polite. Most important, unlike Korach, Hillel wasn't in it for himself. He always was in it for the sake of heaven, and he did it as a mensch, a good person. Next time you're in an argument, stop for a moment and think, am I doing this for the sake of heaven, or am I doing it just for myself? Am I going to just make trouble like Korach did? Or am I trying to make something grow and flower like Aaron's staff? There's plenty to argue about, and it's important to ask tough questions and speak our minds. But you should never forget to be a mensch.